I saw my husband open the wardrobe a couple of times to choose a shirt that matched the pants he was wearing, and he seemed quite happy while doing so. I sarcastically asked him, "Are you going on a date with someone? You seem so cheerful." My husband quickly turned around and looked at me innocently. "No, you're just being silly. It's only you that I have, there's no one else. I have a business dinner tonight, so I wanted to look good." After saying that, my husband turned back and looked at himself in the mirror as if nothing had happened. I still had my doubts, but seeing him act that way, I decided to silently observe and see what would happen next. We've been married for 2 years, and we've always been affectionate. Everyone admires our relationship. I had just become pregnant about 3 or 4 months ago, and because it was our first child, I was being cautious and avoided any intimacy between us. Look, after 3 months, the doctor said we could have a normal marital life. All he needs to do is be gentle. I'm afraid, I really am. What if something happens? Can you let me try once? I promise I'll be gentle. No, I said no. I've made up my mind, so don't say anything more. Just stay still. Go to sleep. I thought my husband would insist, but he didn't say anything. He turned his face to the wall and fell asleep. It wasn't until I reached the 8th month of my pregnancy that my husband started acting strange. He would use the excuse of going out for drinks with friends and not come home for dinner. Ever since my mother-in-law started taking care of me, he stopped helping with the housework completely. I don't know if it's because I've been reading the confessions of other women who have cheating husbands to find solace, or it's just a woman's intuition, but recently I've had a feeling that my husband is having an affair. After receiving that midnight text message, I was about 80% sure. I was really worried, so I talked to my mother-in-law and planned a strategy to make him stop using the excuse of going out for drinks and actually going to see someone else. Luckily, my mother-in-law sided with me, so occasionally I pretended to feel upset. With my mother-in-law following suit, he believed it was genuine. There were times when he planned to go out but ended up staying home with me and my mother. After each of those times, my mother-in-law and I exchanged glances and burst into laughter. But that wasn't enough. I decided to install a tracking device in my husband's car so that I could monitor his whereabouts no matter where he was. Normally, when my husband goes out for drinks with his friends, he would be back by 11:30 at the latest. But tonight, it was past midnight and he was nowhere to be seen. He didn't respond to my messages or answer my calls. I was certain that at this hour, he was happily spending time with someone else. I think I have to go find that old man to settle the score. Only when I do that will he not dare to argue, and he won't be able to use the excuse of being too drunk to stay at your friend's place. I called my mother-in-law to wake her up and took a taxi straight to the location. We arrived at 3 a.m., and deep inside was a small boarding house, and indeed, my husband's car was there. At that moment, it seemed like I had forgotten that I was 9 months pregnant, and I quickly walked towards the last room where my husband's motorcycle was parked. But my mother-in-law held my hand and said, "My dear, you have to stay calm or it will affect the dignity of my son. Just stand still and let me handle it." Approaching closer, I forcefully pushed the door, and the scene in front of me completely shocked me. My husband and the girl, they looked like college students, were lying naked in bed, with their clothes still scattered on the floor. "I'm heavily pregnant and about to give birth, and you're still sleeping with another woman like this. You despicable scum." I forgot my mother-in-law's advice and rushed towards the girl, but my husband pushed me away. Luckily, my mother came to the rescue, so nothing happened to me. My mother-in-law slapped my husband in the face and yelled, "Are you even a human being? Don't you know how to cherish your wife? Today, whatever relationship you have with your daughter-in-law and grandchild, don't you dare show your face at home anymore." The mistress got scared and quickly got up, begging and crying, then grabbed her clothes and ran away. As for my husband, he still had to kneel down, arms crossed, looking like a guilty child, obedient like a puppy. Do you dare to see other women again? If you do, I'll divorce you and find a new husband for your wife. She's so beautiful that she'll attract many suitors. At that moment, my stomach started cramping severely. Fortunately, my mother arrived just in time to support me, otherwise, I would have collapsed to the ground. After that, throughout the journey from the motel to the delivery room, I kept scolding and berating my husband. It was partly because of the intense pain, and partly because the more I scolded, the less pain I felt. Only 30 minutes after arriving at the hospital, I gave birth. When I woke up, I saw my husband with a bruised face and remembered that horrific jealous fight. The more I saw his miserable face, the more joy I felt. I held my child in my arms, not even bothering to look at my husband. Seeing my reaction, my husband said, "I'm sorry, I won't do it again." My mother-in-law walked in and smirked. Even the heavens won't let him do it again. Just pretend not to know. I find my mother-in-law's love for me strangely endearing. But I won't easily forgive my husband. When I go home, I'll have to come up with some tricks to make him scared and suffer. If it happens again, my child and I will kick him out of the house.